this is giving the conversation back to you. So there are three components that I pulled from the writing that Rick Dufour did on professional learning communities. There's three big pieces of his work that I pulled and said, okay, when you're looking at building teams, and just so you know, for me, when a professional learning community is functioning as it should, in my head, it's a team. Now, the majority of things that people are calling professional learning communities, in my mind, aren't functioning at that level. But I pulled his work with him calling it professional learning communities and me putting it together with team. Okay, so Dufour's language, this is one of his big three elements, that the professional learning community, and by the way, let Tina have the slides. Feel free to get them out to everybody, okay? So if there's anything here you want to, grab from the slides. Professional learning community function as a collaborative. So in my head, there's a group of kids in your school whose reading success is being served by a collaborative. So so to me, they have to function as a professional learning community. Now, my word for collaborative was team. And when I started doing my studies on teams, I found out that most teachers don't have experience being on a team. And a lot of places when I come and I say, to what extent do teams exist at your school, people would say to me, oh, we're a strong team. And I'd say, well, give me an example, and they would say, we share everything. Okay? Or we share ideas all the time. We're really good at sharing. So a couple weeks back, I wrote a blog called Sharing versus Teaming. And I want to stick that out here for you. What I found when I studied groups, department groups, or departments in a school, grade level teams, PLCs, they existed on this continuum. So at one end of the continuum, all they were was individual people who came into a common room for a meeting. Okay? And you can tell when people are at that spot because they complain about having to go to the meeting. And the complaint usually sounds something like, this is my time, I should be doing my work. Now, when people start to move across the continuum, they start helping each other. And this is where sharing comes in. So now we're at the meeting, and you describe a struggling reader that you're working with. And these three people share ideas that they have. That's sharing. You have permission to leave the room and not do anything that they mention. They just shared with you. And you can even smile and say, oh, thank you. And leave and do nothing. And there's no note put into the minutes saying that 2 weeks from now you have to come back and report what it is you did and what you're finding from what you did, because all we did was share. Now, most of what people were calling teams, at the best I found them to be franchises. So if you think about people in a franchise, they come together every now and then and meet, but they go back and they run their own stores. So if I read this right, we have a kid with an IEP who's Title I and in the mainstream classroom. So 3 people own a chunk of them. And nobody's responsible for the outcome. Because we're franchised. When I went to the second grade meeting, that's what I found out. I thought it was a second grade team meeting. I got there, I found out it was not a second grade team meeting. It was a second grade franchise meeting. There were 5 people, they each owned a second grade. Once a week they came together, exchanged tips and strategies, and they then went back and ran their own second grade. You see, if the 5 second grade teachers were a team, they would each be personally responsible for the success of 100 kids. Now they're a team, but they were franchised. When you move all the way across to team, people have shared responsibility for student achievement. So now I go to the team meeting as an administrator and I ask you to tell me about her struggling readers. And if you can't tell me a lot about her struggling readers, she's in trouble. She's not in trouble because she has struggling readers, but she's in trouble because her struggling readers have not been shared with the group. So there's no way you can be accountable. See, I'm guessing that in some of your schools, kids are leaving you, going back to their classroom, and you haven't seen the kinds of lesson plans that the teacher is designing for the students when they get back there. And I'm going to just make a guess that in some of your schools, if I questions the teachers as to the activities kids are engaged in when they're with you, the teachers aren't real clear. But if we were functioning as a team, that'd be very clear. There may not be time to meet, but God, at least it's got to be posted on the wiki. At least my plan book has to be posted. See, I got kids coming to me from 4 classrooms. So the only way 4 teachers could know what's happening is if they clicked on and they knew there it was, right there, what we were doing during that block of time. That would be my way of being on that team. So let me stop, give you a few moments, talk about that. Or would you describe the reading instruction for the students you're working with follows now? Have we franchised it? Are we individuals or are there spots where